Hey, it's JC1424 once again with another album review, and today we're going to be talking about the new album from Slipknot, We Are Not Your Kind. This is my first time listening to a Slipknot album all the way through, so I am a virgin maggot, thus making for a less biased album review. I will listen to their older albums at some point, I just can't do that right now because I just got exercised by this one, which was a very enjoyable experience, so I'll give you that much information. But I've known these guys since maybe elementary school, whenever Guitar Hero 3 came out, which, by the way, is a game where you pretend to play guitar but not actually know how, and yet think that you're a hero for it. So that's fucking hilarious. I played it a lot. And that song was Before I Forget, a really amazing and emotional song. I love the anger and then the resentful sadness that there is in the bridge with the guitar in the background. It's awesome. And then there was Snuff, which I heard a lot of top 10s for depressing music like Watch Mojo. My girlfriend's brother is addicted to the song. I've heard him listen to it like maybe 2 times every week that I've been around him. And then there was, what else? Duality, which I heard a lot on radio stations. So, yeah, I know these guys have really great hooks in their singles, and I haven't been that big a fan up to this point, aside from those songs. So I was hoping that this album in particular could make me a true fan of them. There's also a friend of mine who was a big fan of them back in high school, and he still is. He definitely is. He was in the shooting for the music video of All Out Life, which was the lead single to this album and supposedly the title track because We Are Not Your Kind was one of the lyrics repeated over and over again and chanted in that song's bridge. And yet that song's not on this album, thus decreasing my final score by like 2%. It was that freaking good. I think it was released on Halloween last year, and it might have been left over from one of their previous albums, but still, throw it onto this one. You already named it We Are Not Your Kind, you morons. I shouldn't say that, otherwise I'm not a maggot, but whatever. I don't care whether I am or not. Track 1 is Insert Coin, and this one kind of sounds like an arcade machine booting up with Tron or a Formula GT game, which is really cool. I like my racing games. And then it ends off with this lyric tie-in to Solway, Firth, which is the last song on this album. So I really like the theme that they're trying to push forward here. And then in comes this unholy symbiotic tale for lyrics, fumed with anger and disgrace, and it is one of the singles, track 2, Unsainted. This track, I just love how the choir is in the background, and then we have this very wholesome percussion up front. I just the way it's just drawn in there, and it's so in your face, and it just echoes, and then finally it gets all fast and speedy with this guitar riff, and it's just mosh pit gold. Corey Taylor's chorus in this song is well structured, anthemic, and just absolutely unforgettable. And to top it all off, we have some industrial effects in the bridge. Track 3 is Birth of the Cruel, and in this one the drums are a bit tribal at first with a more psychotic guitar playing style. The lazy, clean verses are a perfect fit as they change to a growled chorus with deadly screams. Now this song is kind of personifying anxiety as a toxic egoed friend being damned to hell, and the attitude from the guitar in the bridge is just gnarly. And then we head into a redundant but electronic interlude with tribal percussion called Death Because of You, which is track 4. And this one I think he's trying to put out the perspective that suicide from depression can be somewhat contagious, and given the tragedies that occurred in 2017 in the music community, I can understand what he's trying to say. This leads into the song with the most vicious and badass drums on the entire album, and that is track 5, Nero Forte, which in Italian I think translates to strong black, and my only explanation for why that would be the song title is because it might be about a darkness in the heart, a strong darkness. But it's the best I've come up with. They're always about exorcisms and dark shit. So, yeah. And this one, it doesn't have a very strong chorus, but the bridge is visceral as fuck. What's this? Critical Darling is track 6, and I think this one is about a mind state where someone considers it rather useless to even bother changing themselves for the better. And I think this is coming from an outside perspective, or maybe it's just about it in general. But I'm a bit unfeeling towards the rapid speed and volume that they have in the opening and verses. But I do find the chorus and the pre-chorus to be pretty tight with their change up to a 1.5 rhythm. If you've ever taken music class, you know there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, but this one is more like 1.5, 3, 4.5, 6. And I just love that because it's so spontaneous and it just comes in there and it just sounds so cool, especially in the chorus where it does that and it's the guitar in the background and it's just so badass. Now, the bridge is unique in this one with its acoustic and its distortion in the background, but unfortunately, I don't find this dynamic enough to really captivate me.
Why can't I come in and keep it away from the leeches who want to decide what is coming has begun?
Track 7 is A Liar's Funeral, and this one is certainly the saddest one on the entire album. It's also got a factor of angst in there from Deception, and I think that's what this song might just truly be about. I really love the light acoustic and piano side. It is just beautiful. But then this forced heavy dynamic comes in, and without proper transition, it kind of ruins it a bit. But it does make this comeback as we get some just absolutely amazing guitar work, leaving all of this sounding like Avenged Sevenfold. Track 8 is Red Flag, and this one is lyrically hostile, but also somewhat sarcastic. He's singing stuff like, be careful, this next guy might also suck the life out of you too. And we've had some industrial effects throughout this album on and off, but here, it kind of sounds like a warning siren, which goes back to that meaning that I just mentioned a while ago. Unfortunately, in general, the music here is rather unimpressive to me. While I do feel like the bass is vibrant and that's cool, the screaming and the rhythm is just so simple. People are like, how can you say that? This is unimpressive if you like White Flag by Ditto. I mean, I don't know. And then begins a weirdly light-hearted interlude called What's Next? And that is track 9. But the question is, what is next? This track is so vital because when it stops, wham! Chilling Halloween music. Track 10 is Spiders, my favorite song on the entire album, with its gushing piano and its clickety-clackety percussion and some really bouncy bass. It's just freaking awesome. And Tool, you're not the only ones that can write in 7/8 time. I remember first listening to this and I'm like, why can't I count this properly? And then I was like, oh my gosh, Slipknot they're writing in a different time signature. I didn't even know they did this. So that is cool. Usually it's like 4/4 time or 3/4 time, maybe some 6/8, but damn, this came along. I love that it's like this Halloween music in a weird time signature, because it kind of reminded me of like Evanescence the first time I heard the piano being played like that, obviously. But here I've kind of made the analogy that the spiders are like dark thoughts crawling in and out of someone's head. You know, crawling in their brain.
Everyone's a little bitter all of the time. The spiders coming side by side, 2 by 2 and night by night. Who is good?
Orphan is track 11, and the lyrics on this song are bad. Cringy bad.
I am not the same. You don't know me. Who are you?
In the most odd delivery I could have ever expected in a chorus. So, I mean, it's got a good bass line at the beginning, but then they just toss that out the window. The drums are just really freaking intense on this track, but then it winds up becoming the most basic song on here. Track number 12 is My Pain. This one contains a long and misty sounding intro that isn't exactly necessary, but it works. Then it phases into this really short song, or at least for what a song length should be, considering the intro it had. And it's about an expression of grief and a realization that his love is pain. I guess he was in a relationship and then it just went wrong and now he's stuck and attached to it. We all know that situation. They've got these bells in the background that are really cool. They kind of remind me of the ones in the Sly Cooper theme song from like the first game, or the bells you hear at a lot of Scooby-Doo music, like ongoing through the TV show, not like the intro or something like that. You know, the little rockin' intro that they have. That's not what I'm talking about. You know, that kind of music. But what really ticks me off about this song is that they have this piano tone in the background, or at least it sounds like a piano, just hitting the same note over and over again until you believe that the car door is left open, but someone can't shut it even though it's actually shut. That's what it's like. You know, the door's shut, car, but it's fucking annoying. It drives me crazy after like 10, 15 seconds because it's just the same thing all the way until we get to the outro, which is also pretty long given the length of the intro and how short the song is. I don't know if this is trying to be an interlude, a song interlude, or what. It's, this one's kind of iffy with me. It's just kind of like back and forth. I can't tell if I like it because there's stuff mixed in there that I just don't really feel that good about.
I'm your death, and I'm your cold.
Not Long for This World is the second to last song on the album and track 13. I consider this to be one of the best songs on the entire album, even though it's pretty much Aerials by System of a Down, with a tinge of old Five Finger Death Punch, you know, before they sucked ass. And what I find so beautiful about this is the organ, the vocals, and then the guitar comes in for the chorus, and it's just so powerful. It's got this story of someone who is resentful to people who just don't show love in their actual actions. And they can say things, but in the end, they don't really act upon it. So I can understand that perspective on things. And then all of this makes for a climactic, conclusive bridge and a dubstep outro, which I didn't even see coming, but it's good.
Trust is such an arrogant thing. So tell me I'm gonna die.
Solway Firth is the final song on this album, track number 14. I didn't care for this one that much at first as a single, but once I started listening to the album, with the way it closed everything off, it definitely grew on me. And this one, he's screaming about all these people who naively pry into his misery as if it's not their fault, and that would be the explanation for why he divides his character in two. You know, like he's two-faced, but he has every right to be. Hence the name, Solway Firth, which is this bay, sort of, between Scotland and England, and it just kind of splits them right in half. I can only imagine if you, like, live on the line, and then your address is in two countries at the same time. I don't even think that's legal. I think you just gotta pick one, and they gotta decide, or some kind of crap, like, part of my house is in Scotland, and part of my house is in England. I really don't think anybody's gonna let you do that. I don't think they let you do it in the United States either, but correct me if I'm wrong. And then, by the way, Corey Taylor is low-key switching between accents in the chorus. I mean, I noticed it, but I didn't really take that much note of it until I heard the Needle Drop talk about it in his album review. So, I guess that's cool. There's lots of subliminal art to the performance of this song. And this one, the guitar riff is killer, the drums are nuts, and then we've got an alarm clock between the verses because, well, I mean, it sounds like an alarm clock, and I guess that's just to assume that, hey, we're also in two time zones, so every time the alarm clock comes on, it's the same time as it was earlier. I don't freaking know. I'm probably taking this way too far, but this is another one of those great songs on the album alongside Unsainted, Not Long for This World, Birth of the Cruel, and Spiders, paired with its intro, What's Next. Those are my favorite songs on this album, and you can find that out in the description below already, of course. Those are the ones that I would definitely go back to. My final score for Slipknot's new album, We Are Not Your Kind, is an 85%. Which is, like, I think one less than 311's album Voyager, which I think I gave an 86%, right? But I enjoy that one in a completely different way than this one, obviously, because that's like, you know, reggae rock with a little pop in there, and everybody hates pop if you like Slipknot, versus me, where I kind of like all kinds of stuff, depending whether or not it's good, not from the genre. But yes, for my first Slipknot album, this one was partially amazing. There was just some moments in there where it's like, no. I was like, I can't do this. Shut the freaking car door. Is it already shut? Is your car broken? Because that bell in My Pain, that crap drove me crazy. Or it wasn't a bell. Maybe it was a piano, or maybe it was just some kind of bell effect. I don't freaking know. But yeah, it's like basically a B minus. And I think I also would consider 311's album a B minus. But it's a different kind of music. It's a different kind of experience, not just a freaking number. The number's not that important, but that's just what I would give it, you know, based on my opinions of the music. So that's it for my Slipknot album review. Next up is Tool's album review. That one, I mean, it might be only 7 tracks, but I feel like that one is going to be more difficult or just as difficult as this one. Because 7 tracks versus 14 tracks. But I think it definitely might take less time. It's just, I have a lot more notes to write for every track, most likely. They're like 10-minute songs. But thanks for watching this album review. See you next time. That's that, and album review over.
Show you my allegory. Don't look away. Here's